shoot people in the leg. This is a talking point by morons. This is a talking point for people who don't know anything about policing and don't know anything about guns. This is not Gene Wilder in Blazing Saddles, guys. I mean, first, honestly, if we're going to do this, then really, they shouldn't even shoot the attacker in the leg. What they should do is shoot the gun or weapon out of an attacker's hand. Right? That's really, they should shoot the trigger finger. They should make it so that you can't pull the trigger finger like in the movies. This is what Joe Biden actually thinks. Okay, so the way that law enforcement actually works is that in the heat of the moment, when you have just a split second to react, many of the shots go wild. This is why you are taught to fire until the threat is neutralized. You are taught to fire at center of body mass, specifically because very often you cannot aim at a particular part of the body. This comes from somebody who obviously has never really...
I mean, I don't know the validity of this statement, that like, you can't train people to shoot legs. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it. I mean, it sounds plausible. If I'm making an assumption, I think it would potentially possible to do, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I need to do more research on that.
Really tried handling a handgun, and certainly not in a pressure situation. This idiotic notion that you can train police to shoot at limbs is the stupidest garbage ever put forth by people who talk about guns. So here's Joe Biden. He's done this multiple times, and it's amazing. No one asks, where's the follow-up from George Stephanopoulos? Why is it that not a single police department in America trains people to shoot at limbs? Because you cannot do that. It does not work. Here is Joe Biden laying this forth.
I don't know if there's evidence of us trying that. That would be interesting.
And it takes time, but we can do this. You can ban chokeholds, but beyond that, you have to teach people how to de-escalate circumstances. De-escalate. So instead of anybody coming at you...
Also noticing that the stream is cut off a little bit, which is strange.
Shoot them
Hold on. Let me see. That looks better.
That's instead of shooting to kill, shoot them in the leg. That's amazing. Why I don't understand. Why don't the cops take out a lightsaber and just, like, you know...
I don't know where he's going with... Okay, what the fuck? Alright, just take out a lightsaber. Like, I don't... You go from, okay, shooting people in the legs is unlikely to lightsaber. Like, this is not comparable, okay? Lightsabers aren't, like, real. So, I don't know. This hyperbole just doesn't work. I know he's being hyperbolic, but it just doesn't work. I mean, Biden says shot legs is kind of stupid. Let's go ooga booga, but training people not to shoot without thought is also detrimental. Yeah, I mean, legs move a lot, but like I feel like you could hit a leg with a gun, even though legs move a lot. Like, I feel like you could at least hit the thigh. I feel like that's more reasonable. You could hit the upper thigh. You could shoot someone in the butt. I mean, I think that would be pretty good, especially people with big butts. Like, I think that's more plausible. Like, you don't have to be getting feet shots, but I don't know. I'd have to look into it. It's something I really don't know, but like this lightsaber thing, like, I don't know where he's going with this. So
harm the person by, like, cutting off their arm like Luke Skywalker does, or like Obi-Wan Kenobi or something. In fact, why don't
okay, so like, if we could, theoretically, let's say hypothetically, right, we had access to lightsabers. Ben Shapiro, in this hypothetical situation, is arguing that literally dismembering people is the best way to to disengage situations, rather than, you know, disabling them with, like, a kneecap shot. He would rather just chop their arms off and let them wallow in pain. That's what I'm getting from this. I don't know what he's talking about. This is kind of wonky.
Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, and actually just
now Wonder Woman's lasso of truth. We don't have that. That's not a real thing.
This is a presidential candidate who's
you can shoot people in the legs in real life. That's possible.
Joe Biden was asked once again on court packing. Once again, he declined to answer. He was not pressed by George Stephanopoulos. He said, "Don't worry, I'll tell you at some point. At some point, you'll find out." I mean, that point may never come, but sometime in the future. I mean, the future is is full of murkiness and undecidedness, so at some point I'll probably tell you. Here is Joe Biden not being asked a difficult question.
If they
wait. Not being asked a difficult question? That is a difficult question. That is a difficult question. The court packing question. And Joe Biden doesn't know the answer. He doesn't know if they're going to pack it or not. And I don't think he really could have answered any differently. Not giving a straightforward answer. I mean, if he doesn't know, he doesn't know. So that's just something that some people have been talking about.
I'm open to considering what happens from that point on.
You know, you said so many times during the campaign, all through the course of your career, it's important to level with the American
but George,
people.
if I say, no matter what answer I gave you, if I say it, that's the headline tomorrow. It won't be about what's going on now, the improper way they're proceeding.
But don't voters have a right to know where you stand?
They do have a right to know where they stand. They'll have a right to know where I stand before they vote.
So you'll come out with a clear position before Election Day?
Yes, depending on how they handle this.
Depending on how they handle this. I love that. Okay, so
court packing is something that neither candidate wants to admit to doing, but will likely do. It is very situational, though. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's not something... Because I know both sides want to have the courts filled with their people. Depends on if Amy gets elected or not to the Supreme Court. Yeah. It really depends. And this is like the one thing. There was like one or two things that Joe Biden in his town hall he did not give good answers to, but he gave actual answers to everything else. So Ben is really nitpicking here. Like if we wanted to watch the Trump town hall, all right, we could probably find a random moment where Trump is just spewing nonsense.
You don't know that? Okay.
No, I don't know
you
that.
Just this
neither
week.
do you know that.
Okay, just this week you
why
retweeted.
Why aren't you asking me about Antifa? Why aren't you asking me about...
Right here.
Because you're
why
volunteering
aren't you asking Joe Biden questions about why doesn't he condemn Antifa?
This isn't an answer to her question. He's just complaining. All Trump does is complain. We could probably find more.
And you have a report coming out 2 days ago that 85% of the people wearing masks
I looked at that report. It's not about mask wearing. It was neutral on the question of masks.
We're on the same side. I say wear the mask. I'm fine with it. I have no problem. We're on the same side.
Let's take a break. We're going to get more questions right after this. On behalf of voters, who do you owe $421 million to?
First of all, let me answer. What they did is illegal, number one.
Okay, yeah. See,
Also,
he's not answering this question.
And just so you understand, when you have...
Is there more?
So when I was elected and when...
Live in Miami, Adam Schucker. He voted for Clinton in 2016. He's registered as a Democrat and says he's supporting Biden. Adam, take it away.
Thank you, Savannah. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Adam.
4 years ago, Senate leadership said it was inappropriate to push through a nominee in an election year. Yet they fast-tracked your nominee for the Supreme Court just today. The question I have for you is, what do you say to the voter that thinks it's hypocritical to act in that manner and that they can't trust Republicans' word?
So when I was elected and when a president is elected, they're elected for a period of 4 years. And Justice Ginsburg said it best, I think talking about President Obama having to do with somebody else, that the president is put there for 4 years, not for 3 years. So during this fourth year,
I don't
happened to come up, unfortunately.
I don't think these are really direct answers. So let's continue.
What should George Stephanopoulos' answer there be? Clearly, if you were a journalist, or if you were going to Savannah Guthrie this thing, he would say, okay, why not right now? Like, I'm looking at my watch here, Joe, and it turns out that today is, in fact, October 15th, and the election is going to be held in approximately 2.5 weeks. So you're running out of time, so why not do it, like, right now? What's preventing you from doing it, like, right now? And instead, Joe Biden's like, well, I'm just not going to tell you, everything's good. And George Stephanopoulos like, okay, Joe. All right, well, fair enough. Not fair enough. Oh, man. Okay, George Stephanopoulos, that's some harsh questioning right there. It shows you the media's standard for themselves.
I mean, he tried pushing him. He tried.
If you're interviewing a Republican, you should act like Savannah Guthrie. And if you're interviewing Joe Biden, you should act like a doormat. That is the media double standard. And again, that doesn't alleviate the fact that Trump handled some questions badly last night, and then he
handled most of them badly.
The media bias is very real. There's a reason conservatives distrust the media. There's a reason they distrust social
media.
media.
Trump is just bad. He's just really bad at answering questions. I don't think there's a significant media bias against him. Like, Ben Shapiro is such a Trump simp. He will bend over backwards for Trump. He will defend him all the time. Biden not answering does make him look bad, but it could be worse. But the thing is, he didn't answer one question. You can't expect them to answer every question perfectly. It's just that there's such a stark difference between both town halls where Trump could barely answer any question coherently, and Biden answered most of the questions very competently with actual policies and stuff that he would go on about. So I don't know.
Back to Biden. So Biden said many, many radical things last night.
Radical things.
He said yesterday that small children should be able to transition. I know that we're just glossed over this thing, but this is insane. This is insane.
This is insane.
A mother of a child who believes that he is transgender, an 8-year-old, 8 years old, gets up and says,
"You can be 8 and you can be trans. It's possible. It's possible. If you're a kid and you're like, I don't like being a boy, and you want to try being a girl, yeah, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I know people who knew they were trans since they were 8, since they were kids. Yeah, this isn't that radical."
Joe, what are you gonna do for kids like mine, a boy who believes he's a girl, who believes he is transgender?
Again, a parent wouldn't say, "My kid is a boy who thinks he is a girl." A parent of a trans child, a supportive parent, mind you, would not say this. So I don't know. Ben Shapiro, he's just a dick. He really is just a dried up shit stain smeared on a wall. That's really what it comes down to when it comes to things like this.
And Joe Biden says we should allow 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds to transition. Those are children. So what he's talking about right now is allowing the treatment of a boy as a girl, not watchful waiting, but an 8-year-old says, "I think I'm a girl today," and that kid is a boy. And you say, "Okay, darling," and then you go out and
if that kid says that they are a girl, they are a girl until they say otherwise. That is how that works. They could be male. I'm not disputing that. I'm not arguing that they're not biologically male. That's not the argument here. But if they say that they aren't a boy, they are not a boy. Absolutely not.
And you call them your daughter. You literally start treating the boy as a girl.
Why is this so radical to him? He's so conservative. I mean, he is, but this is what's radical to him. Just being a good person. To conservatives, being a good person is radical. And we haven't even brought up medical changes. This is just a social transition. He literally just said, yeah, you address them as a girl. That to him, a social transition for a kid is he can't think of it. That's too much for him. That's too much for him. Social treatment is just too much.
There's evidence to back that this is a good idea.
But yes, there is.
This is the left propaganda, which is that you can identify as a member of the opposite sex. Right? You can just pick your opposite sex.
No, you can't identify as the opposite sex. You can identify as the opposite gender or any other gender you want. That is what the left says. We can actually go to the Vaush Ultimate Research document. This is a great resource. And it's got a lot of stuff. Right? There is stuff about kids. Yeah, transgender youth. Alright, let's open this link. Basically, we got stuff about trans kids. And it provides a lot of information that I think would serve Ben very well if he read. It's got a lot of good information. There's also amazing studies about how when people transition and identify with how they actually identify, they become a lot happier. So I guess I could leave this in the description when I make this a video. So moving on.
At the age of 8, here is Joe Biden spilling this one out there, and he's going to effectuate federal policy in order to make this clear. So if you are a religious school, for example, then he is going to make it so that
if you're a religious school, fuck you.
And he now wants to identify as a little girl, and he wants to go to the girls' school, right? Because in a lot of religious communities, you have a separate boys' school and a separate girls' school. Mainly because once they hit teenage years, you want to keep those kids separate.
You want to keep those kids separate. Nah, I don't think that's healthy. I think keeping kids separated based on gender, I mean, that's literally segregation based on gender. Like, that's kind of wonky. If we did it, if you replace gender with race, it would sound really wonky. So already we have a problem. And on top of that, if most people are straight, right? If you keep men away from women for most of their lives, they're not going to know how to socialize with women in schools. Like, that's what Ben is talking about here. It's just wonky. This whole thing is wonky. This man is crazy.
Okay, but they have separate boys' schools and separate girls' schools. This is very traditional in the religious community. It's very traditional in the Jewish community, Catholic community.
Why does everything have to be traditional? Yeah, I know, it's traditional. That's how things have been, but that doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't seem to be good. It seems to be better the way public schools handle it. And yeah, if a kid is socially transitioning, I would want teachers to uphold that, because not upholding that could have serious consequences on that kid's mental health. If you're young and you're trans and you're getting misgendered a lot and you're not getting treated the way that you want to be treated, that could have serious consequences. And so for Ben to just be openly arguing for, his argument is basically, that's crazy. It's crazy to, like, not protect kids from serious mental health problems like that. It's ridiculous. This man has no morals. His morals are very flawed.
Protestant community, that Joe Biden will be the kind of person who believes that you should be able to take your boy and enlist that kid in the girls' school, and the school should simply deal with it. Not only that, he on a fundamental level, believing that an 8-year-old should be able to transition is madness. It's absolute madness. I wouldn't let I have a 6-year-old. I would not let her choose how to cut her own hair, let alone how to...
Why not? Why wouldn't you let your 6-year-old choose how to cut their hair? What if they want their hair short? What if they want their hair super long? Like, what? It's not your hair. Like, what is this authoritarian shit that he's peddling? Like, he's a very scary man. Like, I would be very scared to be the child of Ben Shapiro. Like, I don't know what kind of stuff I would be forced into if I was a kid. It's just... I don't feel like these kids would have any freedom to do anything. No liberties at all. It's just... they're under Ben's authoritarian rule, and they have to look exactly how he wants them to look. They have to behave how he wants them to behave. Like, he's probably very strict to an unhealthy degree, and I wonder how Ben's kids, as they grow older, will think of that. I don't know. That's something that's kind of interesting to think about.
Shape her own sexual future. That's insane.
It's insane for your daughter to shape her own sexual future. Like, listen to this. He's so controlling. He's so controlling to his own kids, and he wants to be controlling to the general public as well. Like, the authoritarianism just reeks from his being. It's really awful. He is such a piece of shit. Like, I just want to flush him down the toilet. That's where he belongs. He belongs in the ocean as a flushed down piece of shit. That's where he belongs.
And it's crazy. It's one thing you're talking about a 20-year-old. It's another thing. I mean, There are problems too. But if you're 20,
you gotta slip that in. If you're talking about a 20-year-old trans people, there's problems with them too. Like, no wonder he supports Trump. He's such a Trump. He's fucking crazy. He's retarded. Oh, I said the retarded word. He deserved it in this case. Okay, I actually don't have a problem with mentally ill people. Please do not take that as an offense. It just kind of slipped out. I say that sometimes. It's a gamer word, I know. I said it live. But yeah, no, he's dumb. He's dumb. He's the big dumb is what I'm trying to say. I'm just using it as a funny word for stupid.
20,
anyways,
you have the ability to think things through and consent. If you're 8, you don't. But here's Joe Biden yesterday basically standing up for the ability of 8-year-olds to transition.
The idea that
I know I said the no word. I'm sorry. It just comes out. Sometimes I say it. I just use it as a fancy word for stupid. I can't, like, that's my defense. Oh no.
Child or a 10-year-old child decides, I decided I want to be transgender. That's what I think I'd like to be. It'll make my life a lot easier. There should be zero discrimination. There is no reason.
Okay, so Joe is advocating for zero discrimination. That's pretty great. If Ben is against zero discrimination, he's just bad. That's like a wonky form of terrorism. Yeah, so I don't know how you can argue against that.
Suggest that there should be any right denied your daughter or daughters, whichever, if one or two, one, your daughter, that your other daughter has a right to be and do. None. Zero.
Okay, it's not discrimination to deny a boy access to a girl's locker room. It is not discrimination.
Yes, it is. Fuck you. It's not a boy. It's a girl. And so, yeah, it's discrimination.
Deny a boy, 8 years old, the ability to hormonally transition. The hell is he talking about?
He never said that. He never said anything about hormones. He never said that. Look at this. Ben's putting words in his mouth.
This is mainstream. That is deeply radical. And not only that, it will reach the point in American politics in very, very short order, because you're already seeing the early indicators. Where if you...
Yeah, Ben is literally arguing for discrimination.
Intervene. And Joe Biden will back that. If you have an 8-year-old and your 8-year-old goes
Ben
to school,
be like, oh man, I like discrimination. Not being allowed to discriminate is very radical. It cracks me up. He's so bad. Yeah, he is a poop head. He is very poopy. Very poopy. Very stinky. He's kind of like the inside of my asshole after I eat Taco Bell.
Your 8-year-old boy goes to school, and he says to the teacher, I feel like a girl today. And then, the next day, your 8-year-old boy goes to school, and he tells the teacher, I went home, I told mommy I feel like a girl, and mommy said, you're not a girl, you're a boy.
Ben Shapiro said, mommy. Listen up, everyone. This is an alert. Ben Shapiro said, mommy. He said, mommy. I can't wait for him to say milkers, and then I could edit it to where he can say mommy milkers. But yeah, he's being transphobic. Whatever. Calls Child Protective Services. Okay, we are this far from that. You watch. Within the next 5 years, this will become rote. Okay, that is something that is incredibly dangerous to children. It's incredibly dangerous to families. It's incredibly dangerous. I mean, if you have a trans kid and they're dealing with transphobic parents, yeah, you should get them help. I agree with that. So that's enough of that. I don't want to watch that anymore. Now we're gonna watch Ben talk about the. I thought the worst exchange for Guthrie was clearly on white supremacy. Clearly. So Democrats, the media, they've had this lie that they've been promoting for years, which is that Trump is actually a white supremacist. That covertly he's a white supremacist. He likes white supremacists. Okay, that is a lie. Even at Charlottesville, are you sure about that? I harangued him for not being fast enough to condemn white supremacists on the first day, because he said there were many people there with many different views on the first day, and then he corrected it. And then in that second statement, which happened on Saturday, he overtly said, when he was talking about quote-unquote good people, he said, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis. I'm not talking about the white supremacists who should be thoroughly condemned. That is a direct quote. Okay, or at least a very close paraphrase. The media have never let go of this bone.
And so they have been asking him in every single interview to condemn white supremacy. And he, in every single interview, does. And then they go, right, but you won't. And he's like, but I just did. They're like, Bob, but you're not. And he's like, but I am. They're like, yeah, but you're not right now. And he's like, oh, but I am condemning it right now. Like, but when you said
no,
that,
it's not really.
ago. That's now in the past. So will you do it right now?
No, that's not really what they're doing.
I condemn white supremacy. And they're like,
he's
that was now
very
30
much
seconds ago
mischaracterizing it.
So I'm gonna need you to do it again right now. Because every second that passes means that what you said is in the past. So I don't believe you anymore. What are you doing right now?
Yeah, nobody's saying that. I think he's being hyperbolic.
It was pretty absurd. The worst exchange
he thinks it's pretty absurd. Yeah, like
the media celebrated most was Savannah Guthrie going after Trump on white supremacy. Again, Trump has condemned this thing like
yeah, Trump said both sides have
every
nice
exchange
people.
about white supremacy goes the same way.
Yeah.
Will you condemn white supremacy? Sure. Then do it. I just did. Do it now. Okay, I condemn white supremacy. Why aren't you more enthusiastic about your condemnation? Okay, this is
he just keeps going on about this, like, dumb hyperbole.
Got kudos from the rest of the media. Her star is rising, guys. Because remember, opposing Trump is stunning and brave. So if you oppose Trump, it's stunning and brave. And you're really risking everything, like possibly a giant raise. Or,
Trump just answers yes for PR, but then goes and gets very angry at Antifa. Yeah, that's the thing about Trump. He always, he's like, yeah, I disavow white supremacy, but these Antifa people, he's about to do it again.
I've denounced white supremacy for years, but you always do it. You always start off with a question. You didn't ask Joe Biden whether or not he denounced
Yeah, we
Antifa.
watched this.
I watched him on the same basic show with Lester Holt, and he was asking questions like Biden was a child.
Well, the reason why they're not asking if Biden denounces white supremacy or Antifa is because white supremacists and Antifa don't give a fuck about Joe Biden. They don't care. To Antifa, Biden is just a libcuck, which he kind of is, and to Biden, white supremacists do not think Biden is their guy. Whereas with Trump, they clearly think that he is their guy. They like him. All of the white well, not all of them, but the majority of white supremacists, they love their Trump merch, and they're very pro-Trump. So that's why they're asking Trump these questions. It's not about Biden, it's about Trump and white nationalism. Also, Biden said he doesn't like the rioting before. Yeah, he has. Biden has denounced that, so...
Are you listening? I denounce white supremacy. Okay. What's your next question?
Do you feel... It feels sometimes you're hesitant to do so, like you wait a beat.
Here we go again. Every time, in fact, my people came, I'm sure they'll ask you...
Well, the reason why she's saying it feels like he's hesitant is because when he was at the Biden-Trump debate, the presidential debates, he was asked that question about the Proud Boys, and he said to stand by and stand down and stand by, something like that. Yeah, he said that, and he didn't straight up say like, yeah, I denounced them the first time at the debates. So that's why they're asking him again, and that's why they're saying he's kind of hesitant, and so she's commenting on that.
White supremacy question. I denounce white supremacy.
Okay, that again.
Oh, and he cut it out. Ben cut it out. So, what point?
I agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that, and I agree with it.
But there's not a satanic pedophile called...
Oh, that's QAnon.
Know that?
QAnon. She asked, hey, you know what QAnon is? QAnon is this conspiracy where they think that the Democrats have like a pedophile ring or something. What do you think of that? And he's like, I don't know. Literally okay with QAnon.
Here we go again. Every time, in fact, my people.
Here it is.
I'm sure
Here it
they'll
is.
ask you the
Here's where we
white
were.
supremacy question. I denounce white supremacy, and frankly, you want to know something? I denounce Antifa. And
there he goes. This is what Ben cut off.
That are burning down our cities, that are run by Democrats who don't know what they're doing.
While we're denouncing, let me ask you about QAnon.
Yeah. So. White supremacy is bad. I denounce it, but these Antifa people, they are burning down our cities. We need to do something. These people are really bad. Like he's. That's the difference. That's the problem. And Ben I think Ben is smart enough to know why, like, to cut that out. I think he is smart enough to cut that out because he knows, right? If we were, let's say, during the civil rights era, right? People asking the same questions, hey, do you denounce the KKK? And then someone said, yeah, but I denounce these civil rights protesters and their riots. And you'd see the problem with that. It'd be very easy to understand. So for Ben to defend this and deliberately cut that out, very interesting. Very interesting.
That exchange is amazing. She's like, I denounced white supremacy. She's like, but were you enthusiastic enough? He's like, yeah, but I just did. You know,
and now he's just complaining.
Them Antifa or Black Lives Matter. They won't do that. And she's like, yeah, but you won't denounce white supremacy. He's like, I literally just did. I mean, this was Jordan Peterson and Kathy Newman. Right? You remember that Jordan Peterson, Kathy Newman interview where she was like,
I'm actually not familiar with that.
He's like, no, I really don't. I really don't. No.
I do like the Jordan Peterson voice. That's kind of funny that he's making fun of Jordan Peterson.
Sure, of course. But how enthusiastically? Are you going to go out there?
Trump talks about the white nationalists like they are citizens and friends, but calls Antifa and BLM like animals and horrible beings. Yeah, Trump is just like, the white nationalists, they're a little, they misbehave every now and then, but like the Antifa and the BLM, they are unhinged, they are violent, they are murder. Like, he doesn't say any of that about white nationalists, neo-Nazis, Proud Boys. He doesn't say anything about that. Ben Sharpie, oh, true.
And like, help me hunt down the KKK? And what do you think? Donald, let's go out there and do it now. You willing to do that? Like, what are you... Facts don't
care. Alright, that's enough of that. Okay, so that's our Ben Shapiro segment. I don't know. I tried. It's hard to live stream this. I'm still gonna get used to it. I still have a long ways to go, but yeah, that's the end of this segment.